Alright, welcome back to the Supercoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to review round 1 or week 1 of the 2024 NFL Dream Team season. And so I guess a solid but not necessarily spectacular week for us with the 428, which is good enough for the top 20%, but that does equate to a season rank of 669 out of the almost 3,500 teams that are participating. So we'll have a look at the team and how it went, if it'll load. So our quarterbacks both did quite well. Anthony Richardson, our VC, with a 53, and Jaden Daniels with a 55. So he was quite good on debut. I don't remember his stat line exactly, but obviously there must have been some touchdown work involved. Fantasy stats. That's a bit slow today. So rushing yards. So you got 17 points for rushing, 14 for passing, throw a couple of rushing touchdowns, which I guess was what we always identified with Daniels. So at his price, that's a fantastic start. Caleb Williams was a bit flat with only 14. Both of Chicago's touchdowns came off defense and special teams. So if you had the Chicago defense, you were killing it. But, he'll improve, so no need to stress on Williams. I guess the big talking point this week, though, was Christian McCaffrey, a late out in the Monday night game, which obviously made it hard to make moves. I guess if you were sort of savvy enough to switch to Jordan Mason, congratulations, because he went all right. I guess also if you left the C on him and you had the VC on someone like Richardson, I don't think that's the worst move either. So obviously, I copped a dud score off my bench this week, but I guess the upside is I did cash in on that 53 as my captaincy score, which was very useful. Breece Hall with 30 was solid, got a touchdown. Saquon was amazing, getting 3 touchdowns, 63 points. So considering that was the spot I was sort of humming and hawing over, I think I've nailed that. So pretty happy with that pick. Bijan Robinson with the 26 is solid. Got lots of work, which was good to see. And then our cheap options on the bench both sort of flopped. Zamir White with the 6, Rico Dowdle with the 7. I guess, if McCaffrey we knew was out, confirmed out earlier, probably Dowdle would have become Mason. But unfortunately, based on the information we had, we've gone with this arrangement. The wide receivers was a little bit disappointing. Tyreek was good with 45. CeeDee Lamb with 22. You want a little bit more for that price. Garrett Wilson, is okay with an 18. But then the other picks just did not work out. Deontay Johnson with only a 5. Drake London with a 5. Marvin Harrison Jr. with a 1. So, I think Harrison's definitely a hold. He's got a lot of potential to improve. I still have faith in Johnson and that, Carolina offense that they've put so much work into getting better slowly, not expecting it to be spectacular. But Drake London is the one that I'm a little bit worried about, just given that Pittsburgh just seemed to rush Kirk Cousins and, made it hard for him to hit his main man. Worked out well for the likes of Kyle Pitts and those sort of guys that were playing a bit more underneath. But, maybe with a better matchup, he'll come good. Our bench, so I guess the opposite. We sort of left all the good points on the bench. McConkey with the 24, Neighbours with an 18. So I haven't looked too closely at McConkey's numbers in comparison to the other wide receivers. I'll see if we can sort of see something in here. So he did get a receiving touchdown, which boosted his score. So got 5 receptions, so that's pretty handy on debut. So I guess, if you get the touchdown, it definitely helps out. tight ends. So surprisingly, the top one again was one of the guys on our bench. So Bowers with 17. You know, looks like one of the main targets there at Vegas. So you could potentially play him. Laporta with 13 and Kelsey with just a 9. But obviously, we expect they will increase throughout the year. Bates 16, Cardi 18 from the kickers. And if you didn't go completely cheap, there was some monster options this week as kicker. But just know it is a bit inconsistent. It does depend on, getting the opportunity for field goals as opposed to obviously scoring touchdowns and only getting that 1 point. And then for the defense, the Chiefs with 8 was a little bit underwhelming, but it was still better than -6 from the Commanders. So we'll cop that. So let's have a look at the game week matchups firstly. So that was for last week. So got pipped by about 30 by Falcon time. And I guess this is a good opportunity to sort of have a look at pretty much everyone's team. Obviously, you don't get to see teams until it's locked out for round one. So having a look at Peter's team, he's got Jalen Hurts at quarterback as opposed to Richardson. So I guess, technically Richardson outscored him this week. But, Hurts is not the worst option by any stretch. Jonathan Taylor at running back, 21. Cooper Kupp. So I guess this was the big surprise. I do have Cooper Kupp in my auction draft league, so I was cheering. And with Nakua out, I think he is one we do need to potentially target early. He also brought in Jordan Mason, so it'll be interesting to see. It looks like with Breece Hall as captain, he may have had McCaffrey and made the switch last minute. So great move there, Peter, and probably got their head-to-head win, given he has the likes of Benson at running back, so that would have been 4 points instead of 43. Whereas I copped the 6 from Zamir White, and obviously my wide receivers flopping has cost me there. But just having a look through the league, a few high 400s, 475 from Two Girls, One Cup. So Josh Allen is captain. That was a great move. Saquon as well scored well, and Cooper Kupp, of course, with the name. So Debo, who I guess could play a bit more of an expanded role with CMC out as well. So I don't hate that setup. So it looks like quite a few people jumped off Christian McCaffrey. I was just wanting to cop the VC from Richardson, I think. But I think the top score ended up being the 489 from the Bin Chickens. So sitting top of the table. He VC'd Lamar, so obviously took that on Friday, which was nice. Had Saquon. Pretty solid throughout. I guess his tight ends were a bit flat. McBride and Kincaid with the 3, but had Cooper Kupp, which was nice. Daniels playing quarterback. And I guess, a couple of guys there holding McCaffrey as their captain this week. So maybe we'll definitely get through all the teams throughout the season, no doubt. So we'll just feature those few for the time being. And I guess look at potential moves for this week. So I guess there's a couple of ways of looking at it. The first one is obviously to look at who scored well this week. So Saquon was top scorer with 63. Josh Allen, premium quarterback option. I think he ended up having 4 touchdowns between passing and rushing, so he's scored a monster this week. Baker Mayfield with 4 touchdowns as well, so 59 rather there. But you can see Richardson and Daniels at the cheaper price, sort of producing a similar amount of points, and particularly Daniels at his bottom dollar price essentially was quite good. So Boswell and Moody, as we talked about, they're the ones, I think they kicked 6 field goals each to get them to 52 points. So probably not something that will happen every week. So, I guess my 2 kickers cost the same price as one of them. Frees up more money to target elsewhere. I did skip over Jaden Reed. So I know he scored a couple of touchdowns. Was it 2 or 3? So I guess, at his price could be a bit of a cash grab, but with Jordan Love out, I think, he might sort of have limited upside over the next few weeks. So he had 27 receiving yards. So he had a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown. So 2 touchdowns, but just massive meters that he gained. It was only all 4 receptions. So I don't think you can project that every week. So probably, one I would avoid. Cooper Cup, though, I think, given his main competition there has evaporated, he could become the man this week. In Arizona, obviously letting a few touchdowns in against Buffalo last week. Um, Jackson, quality quarterback. Joe Mixon was quite good. He sort of gets a bit overlooked in the top tier of running backs, but the guy can produce. Alan Lazard's an interesting one. He does have a big connection with Aaron Rodgers from the Green Bay days. So I might have another look, but at his price, if he goes big again, I'd be tempted to get him in and grab some cash. Um, Another kicker, a couple of defenses, so Minnesota and Chicago. You know, Isaiah Likely's an interesting one. He was very dominant. He could have even been a bigger score if he'd scored that last minute touchdown. Um, but I guess with Mark Andrews there, you'd imagine eventually the sort of workload would shift back. It might have just been one of those games where um, they were sort of focused on Andrews. They weren't focused on the other tight end, and he was just the one that was available. Um, we won't go through all of them. I know a few people talking up J.K. Dobbins, but I don't think there's that much value at his price. Jordan Mason, we've touched on. Xavier Worthy, so very interesting start. 39 points for him. I think he had a rushing and receiving touchdown as well. So we'll have another look at him, I think, but definitely on the radar for next week. Kamara did all right, so glad I went Saquon in the end, but if you had Kamara, that was a good call. And yeah, I guess after that we can talk about all of them. But Jordan Love is out, so probably one to trade out of if you've got him. Um, so yeah, in terms of trades this week, it is tempting to sort of sit on your hands, save some trades. We've got 26 as it turns out. There is 18 weeks in total, so I guess 17 weeks if you take off week 1 where it's unlimited. You do get a few trade boosts as well, so I don't think we need to boost this week. We'll have another week and we'll look at break evens and that sort of thing. But given that there is a bit of an injury cloud over CMC, and I guess also another injury to Puka Nakua, what I'm thinking is we can trade out Dowdle. Just didn't quite get the role I thought he was going to get. So at the same price, I think I'd prefer Mason. Looks like he'll make some cash, even if he plays this week. McCaffrey comes back week 3. He'll still probably get a few reps, and that will mean that he plays, and his cash will go up from there. So we'll bring Mason in, and the other one is I think we want to get in Cooper Kupp. So I'm going to trade out Drake London. Like I said, just not convinced by the Falcons' offensive line and their ability to protect Kirk Cousins. So we'll get Cooper Kupp in, and he'll sort of elevate to that elite price, I think, over the coming weeks. So we'll make those trades, and then we'll see how we sit eventually. So we've got Miami Buffalo in the Thursday night game. So it might be a good opportunity to put the VC on Tyreek, switch into Mason. And then the captaincy this week. So I got Washington against the New York Giants. So there is a little temptation to go with Daniels, but I don't know if I'm that ballsy. um, so who else we got? Brees Hall plays against Tennessee. Saquon has the Monday night game against Atlanta, so I'm sort of leaning towards him. But it could also be Bijan Robinson. I'm guessing the chance that CMC does get up. They're playing against the Vikings. So I mean, if he's playing, he's always in the conversation. But I think it's going to be something like that. Is what I'm leaning towards. Um, Other decisions, I guess wide receiver. Do we change up these guys? Who's Carolina got? They've got the Chargers. So do we go McConkey over Johnson? Maybe. Arizona against the Rams. Or we've already talked about the Giants. They play Washington. So there is an argument for neighbours to come in too. Washington with their -6 defense obviously isn't the flashiest one getting around. So maybe we'll swap them over just because that way these boys will score well and these guys won't. That's how it goes with fantasy sports. So that's probably how we're going to set the team. Happy to keep Bates the kicker from Detroit this week. Yeah, obviously tight ends. I don't think we're really going to bring Bowers in. He's going to make us some good cash, but we'll stick fat with the two guns. That's really about it. So we'll wrap the video up there. I guess just for those that are new to this, basically the key is lock in your guys from Miami and Buffalo. So say you want to bring in Josh Allen, bring him in early. All right, but do have another look at your teams on Sunday night. Check any late mail, particularly around the likes of a McCaffrey. And then, probably finalise your moves there. But for the purpose of this video, I'm happy to lock in Mason and Cup. So that's probably how it's going to go into week 2. So if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Give us a like if you enjoy the NFL content. Subscribe for all the fantasy sports content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.